know I'm home. as they come around. Can't let them bring you down. 'Cause you're either living life or letting it pass by.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, we revisit the action from the Windy City. The crew breaks down all the stars, stats, and storylines. And the defending champ, Steven Wilson, stops by the show. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the virtual Irish Hills of beautiful Michigan. This is the Countdown to Green presented by Logitech G. It is the next round of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series, and we are heading to Michigan International Speedway, a beautiful, high-speed, 2-mile track for some great action tonight. There's only 2 more rounds left before the championship series. I'm Alan Cavana, happy to be here, joined by 2 of the best in the business. Our man Ryan Vargas in real life, coming off a great run in the ARCA series, and our friend James Pike, the man behind the mic. James, this is a great track tonight.
This is a fun track because you can run it so many different ways. You've got so much width in the corners, and you've got so many different lines you can take, but those options can also lead to some chaos in said corners. If drivers' lines cross over each other, that can sometimes spell trouble. So Michigan offers you a lot, but it can also take away a lot from you too.
Ryan, you are cooking going into turn 1 at this track.
You are cooking, and the other thing that's cooking is the runs that these guys are going to be able to make with these next-gen cars. It's no secret that these things are aerodynamic monsters, and when you're in the draft, especially down that straightaway, keeping that momentum up is going to be key to making up those passes.
And tonight's racing, not the only competition going on this week. James, what else is going on in the college series?
Got a big week in the college series tomorrow, a big day. A big evening. It's the final night of the season for the college series in the semifinals and finals of the Sunset Splash at Homestead, Miami, coming your way tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, NASCAR.com/live. Pre-race at 6:45. We're going to crown a champion of the college series. We're going to see who wins the last tournament. We're going to see if anybody can wrest the title away from Connor Yarashak. We're going to close out all our stories and get one good run in down in South Florida before we sign off for the season and take over everything in the summer.
Well, let's talk to 2 of the best who will be racing tomorrow night in the Sunset Splash. Their final races of their eNASCAR College Series career. We've got 2 of the best, Matthew Zwack and Mario Miranda. Thank you guys for joining us. Matthew, I'm going to start with you because you represent Michigan. You just won a national championship in basketball, and now you get to represent the school once again at this level. What does that mean to you?
It's great, to be able to get the chance to go to a university like this and rep them in the esports team. It's awesome. Even better was getting the chance to win here last year. And even on my home track, I mean, this is a track I've been going to ever since I was 10 years old. So just, it's a school I watched growing up. It's a school that's held in very high regard. It's just, I'm blessed to be able to get to do it. And it's really cool to go back and look, and it's something I'll be able to talk about for, the rest of my life. It's really fortunate and cool to be able to do it.
Good stuff. Mario, same question for you. I mean, Oklahoma University, you represent the SEC. Success is expected, and here you are doing it in the eNASCAR series. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, the success that's been happening recently, it's a lot more than I expected coming in. I came in as a high schooler trying to race in the college series, and I was caught pretty quickly. So it's been a huge journey since my freshman year, and I've always tried to keep that OU DNA at the core of everything I do here. So be loud, be big, and be the best I can on and off the track. It's kind of like the motto we have here at OU.
Oh, good. I love we're learning more about you. Matthew, you've been in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series before. You will be back. You're hitting free agency. So what do you want the teams to know about you this time around now that you've climbed the ladder once again?
I mean, I don't think much has changed from where I am before. I think experience is great. I'm one of the people that is coming back with experience from the Coke series, and I have more high leverage racing. I think what's great with the college series is you are racing against Coke level guys. You have myself, Mario, Falkingham, Clampett, really good drivers, and you still have those high pressure situations with money on the line, and just being in those environments and being able to win. And I think I finished top 10, top 5 in every race besides Daytona, which was a little unlucky. And, I'm still able to perform just as good as I did last year, the year before that. And experience is huge. Just being comfortable in the late race scenarios and having laps under your belt and knowing what to expect is really important. And, I hope to be able to run it back and do a great job this year if I get the chance.
And not only those drivers you mentioned, Matthew, but also the Steven Wilsons of the world, Conor Urashak. You're chasing for a college series championship. Knowing that you can compete against them, what do you think that means for you in the championship series?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I was a corner away from winning at Martinsville against Conor. I should have just hit him a little harder, I guess. Steven's great. I mean, I spent my early years losing to Steven quite often, like most of us. Those two are excellent. And knowing that you can compete against them day in and day out. And I mean, they're a level above a lot of the people that are competing tonight. They're really good. They're some of the best of the best. So yeah, knowing you can go at it with them is good for confidence, and having confidence is crucial for running well, in my opinion. So yeah, it's great to be able to go against them and know that you can match up well. You have a chance most nights, day in, day out.
And Mario, you'll likely be making your debut in the championship series next month, but we got to hit free agency first. So what do you want teams to know about you and what you're capable of?
Yeah, there's a lot to know, but it's good to have people like Urashak and Dylan all around me, kind of guiding me as like mentors through this whole process, and being a part of a great setup team in general. So having teammates like Seabass and Quentin and Thomas and Seth, they've all been great. And even though I haven't been racing in this qualifying series, I've been testing every week with them, trying to figure out how to set the car, figure out that level of racing. And it's fun during those pack tests, seeing where I can stack up, seeing Seabass and Quentin at the top and being able to compete with them in our practices. So I feel like I have the pace to hit the ground running and really be successful in the championship series. And Urashak won Rookie of the Year, so the goal is, if drafted, I can do the same thing and kind of continue that momentum for all of us at Nexus.
Well, it's been great to learn more about you too, and good luck tomorrow in the Sunset Splash, and of course, good luck in free agency. Hope to see you next month in May. Guys, let's look back at what happened last week in Chicagoland, because it got crazy. 4 wide, guys, last week.
Yeah, 4 wide, lots of craziness. We saw this early. A lot of guys finding the limits of their race car. You start these races with really low tire pressure, James, and we saw it catch a lot of guys off guard. We saw a lot of twitchiness. We saw a lot of ill-handling race car. Blake McCandless right here. Oh, man, a big overcorrect, but it came down to some fuel strategy.
Yeah, amidst all the twitchiness in all the 3 and sometimes 4 wide racing, there were drivers who were able to take advantage of the way the cautions played out. We got some early yellows in this race, and drivers were able to come down, get fuel. Not everybody was able to make it to the end on fuel, but one driver was able to stretch it 66 laps to get to the checkers. Kwame Scott gets his first qualifying win. Yeah, impressive. Normally, when the fuel runs there about 50 laps to go 66, job well done, Kwame. So now let's look at the point standings here. Worth noting that we have factored the drops that have been in place into account now with the standings. So there has been a little bit of shuffling compared to last week. But the biggest thing I noticed, Ryan, there are some movers and shakers. Nate Stewart gained a lot of ground off the back of that. But the amount of drivers here that have previous Coke Series experience. Seabass is one of the few that doesn't, but a lot of names on here have been either coach or qualifying people.
Absolutely. You have Eddie Kerner, Michael Cozy Jr., another driver right there, Garrett Lowe. He's now 22nd. So you're seeing a lot of shuffling here. Daniel Falkingham, 26. So a lot of big names around that cutoff. Timmy Holmes, he didn't start last week. So now he's only 14 points good to the cut, James. It's going to be very tense here tonight.
Some names they're falling out at the end, too.
Oh, yeah. Lots of that. And by the way, let's go take a look at the schedule that brought us to this point, right? We started with the Craftsman Trucks, went to the O'Reilly cars, and now we're just about to enter race 2 of 3 in the NASCAR Cup Series cars here at Michigan International Speedway. 70 laps the distance tonight. It's been a heck of a gauntlet to get to this point, and man, tonight it all sets up for the epic finale at Texas Motor Speedway happening next week, 1 week from today.
Yeah, we got some business to take care of before then, and the one who's waiting for it all is the defending champion, Steven Wilson, the GOAT right now. Steven Wilson, he's joining us here on the show. Steven, how's the offseason been treating you?
Yeah, it's been really good. I'm really happy to be joining you guys on the broadcast today. It's been really fun, having a lot of time off and having a bunch of stuff to do during the off season for us. So it's been cool. I got my main man here, Goose, with me. He spent the day at daycare today, so he's a little wore out, just sleeping on my lap. So that's cool. Just having fun with him. And it's nice when you're the champion in this long off season. You get to kind of sulk in the greatness for even longer.
Hey, sulk all you want and tell everybody how much of a champion you are. 2-time champion now. So let's go back to when we were at the NASCAR Hall of Fame the second time around. Your family always there supporting you, but it felt like, I don't know, maybe your grandma had some nerves, but what was that moment like winning your second championship?
Yeah, it's cool to see. My whole family's pretty much always been there front row the last 4 years when we've been there. So they get nervous. I know they get nervous. I hear about all the stories of them yelling at the TV and whatnot during the normal races. So having them at the Hall of Fame, and our headsets do a good job of soundproofing, but when we're up there on the stage, like, I hear the crowd, I'm hearing, all the announcers, all the broadcast stuff. I'm hearing everything really from up there. So it's all in our heads. We try to just lock in and do what we can, but like when Bobby almost wrecked with 10 to go there, I hear the crowd, and honestly, I was going down the straightaway and look up at the screen just to see what happened. So it's cool to see how much they're into it. I'm just sitting here, something I thought would just be a hobby for the longest time, and I've just been locked in, doing so well, and great to have their support.
You are the champion of the Coke Series. Everybody is trying to beat you and be where you are. You're the best right now. How does the best get better in the off season? How do you up your game even further?
Yeah, and the first thing to do with that is iRacing's always updating. Everything can change from year to year, and we've seen that in this off season. There's been some changes, some different things with the next gen car, and obviously having these 3 races with the Road to Pro guys. I've been testing, I've been doing their mock race stuff and all that, and making sure I get some laps in. So I'm just last night I did Michigan laps with these guys, and it went pretty well. I think this track is pretty close to what we ran here in Coke last year. I think it was August or so. It was a playoff race for us, and it's a playoff race for us again this year. So I wanted to make sure I got some laps in, I got some prep, just so I'm ready for that later in this year. And obviously we had speed last year, won the race, took a bit of luck to do that, but I think it went pretty well last night, and I think those Coke guys, those guys that have that experience from that championship series race last year, they'll do good tonight.
You are the best in the series, and you are bringing some of those skills to real life with Spire Motorsports. What is your role there, and how do you help the team?
Yeah, I've been brought on as a sim driver this year for Spire, pretty much thanks to Hocevar. He wanted a sim guy, and obviously with me having the connection with Spire last year, being on the iRacing team, that's just how they came in contact with me. So it was just right place, right time, and everything worked out great. And I've been enjoying learning what they do week to week, kind of everything that they do in the process of getting ready for the weekend, and all their different, setup changes, whatever they do during the week, during the sim. And being a part of that is really cool. Just having a team to cheer on and drivers to cheer on, and knowing that I have a small role in that every weekend is really cool. So it's been really fun to work with them, and it's just a learning curve, just learning new stuff every week. And as you can see here, this guy wants to drive too.
Hey, bring him right to the NASCAR Hall of Fame if you make it once again. We'll see you next month, Steven, the champ, the 2-time champ, Steven Wilson. Appreciate you joining us. Fellas, Ryan, James, we're going green at Michigan soon. What do you think about this big track and what it means to these drivers tonight, James?
I think it's tons of speed, it's tons of opportunity, and it's also much more treacherous, I think, than a lot of people would give it credit for. You can get very arrow loose here, too.
Ryan, what are you looking for?
Man, I'm looking for some massive, wide racing. We're going to see 3, 4, maybe 5 wide racing. And I mentioned it earlier, the draft is going to come into play. Getting those runs, timing those passes. If you're going to be up front, you have to make sure that you make every move way ahead of time in your brain, so that when you get there, you can make it happen.
Only 2 more races to help yourself qualify for the championship series. One of them starts in Michigan right after this. We're going green. Stay with us.
Racing isn't just a game. It's a way of life. Every lap, every moment. Practice is about consistency. Winning doesn't come easy.
Yo! My turn, Bubba.
Fuel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals available now on Amazon.
We've got a new intern joining
Let's
us.
make history, team. Talladega. Every tailgate gets a hype man. Idea 2, every first timer should get a Talladega welcome. And idea 3, use the spotters for the fans. Lock in here, buddy. Yeah, copy that, copy that.
Noah! Talladega is already the biggest party in NASCAR. You don't change it, you embrace it.
That's what I've been saying this whole time.
You haven't said that once.
It was implied.
I believe in something that I can't explain. The wind is calling out my name. Let it rain on me. You know I couldn't be ours, and I'm not gonna wait in line. I'm gonna take what's mine for the world to see. You gotta take the lead. You gotta feel the fire. So I see, and I still believe. Take the lead, take the lead, take the lead, take the lead.
Live from iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the penultimate round of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. Well, it is the second to last race of the year. The NASCAR Cup cars stay in play as we welcome you back to the iRacing Sports Network with Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pasoko. And it was a wild race just a week ago, KB, where fuel strategy in the end ended up being decision maker. And the highlight of that Chicagoland return was the drivers using the width of the racetrack. 4 wide battles throughout. May see more of that tonight. This racetrack here tonight's more than 70 feet wide and should bring us plenty of excitement.
We may, Evan. I think we will. This will be the proper track to see that type of racing. The proper balance, like Auto Club earlier on this season, between an intermediate style of discipline versus using the draft and all of the speed to your advantage in the middle of a high-intensity pack. And with just 2 races, Alan, this is it. Home stretch is here for the qualifying series. You got to make it or break it in these final 2.
And it's a big one. The point standings are close, and we are going to a huge track. We talked about strategy last week. I've covered this place many times in real life. Fuel strategy can make a difference at a track like Michigan. Hopefully people are thinking about that for their pit stops tonight.
If they weren't already, last week was an eye-opener multiple different ways to put yourself in victory lane here. And I want to say it, what feels like has been a sprint, but in reality, I mean, you look at the old format, the 3-tiered format, and how we broke it down, KP, and changed it up for this one. I mean, it really has been in the blink of an eye. We've gone from talking about this 11-round championship to all of a sudden 2 Cup Series races in between us and locking in the top 30 drivers who are headed to free agency.
And it's been fascinating to see the way that the drivers have handled the challenge of going through different vehicles after a few weeks' time. And this is the shortest stint that we have in any given car, but probably the most important. Those that are prepped up for a shot at free agency, most likely going to be racing these cars in the championship series if they make it. And these are the only 2 opportunities they have, 2 of which in this stint being mile-and-a-half racetracks. This one very much the difference maker. Michigan International Speedway, a 2-mile beast, sister track to Auto Club that we had earlier on this season. So there's just only 2 races left with this next-gen Cup car. Lots still to learn for the drivers.
A similar track, different car, of course, to Auto Club Speedway than we were racing earlier. But as you said, a high-speed, wide track, Brooklyn, Michigan, 2 miles around, 18-degree turns, 18 degrees of banking in the turns, the front stretch at 12, 1968. And Blaze Crawford won the last time this series was here. I believe that was 2023. So some big action on tap for tonight in terms of high speeds, potential for draft, and of course, guys, that strategy.
And I know it's a ways away, but Cup Cars, Michigan, that will be the opening race of the playoffs when we're talking about the championship series later this fall. So for some drivers, maybe a preview of things to come later this season. Well, qualifying has drawn to a close. Let's go trackside and take a look at tonight's Coca-Cola starting grid as we get set for round number 10. Jacob Wilkerson, pole position tonight, a 37.165, will bring us to the green flag. Eddie Kerner going to be right there alongside in second. Brian Mercurio and Adam Garza will make up row 2. The Coca-Cola number 3, Michael Cozy, slots in to the number 5 spot. He'll be next to Matthew Morton, who starts in 6th. Tyler Gary is 7th. Andrew Navarro, 8th. 9th is Cody Biased, and your highest starting race winner on the season is not until Daniel Falkingham in the number 10 spot.
Back in 11th is the 48 machine of Graham Bowling. Garrett Lowe right on the outside in 12th spot. Payne Howell in 13th, followed by Christopher Pfeffer on the outside of row 7 in 14th place. Garrett Maines now still top 5 in the point standings. He's 15th at the green flag. And current points leader Quentin Warman is going to be right on the outside. What a journey for Wyatt Tinsley. Had to make some planes to get back to his home and his rig. He's here. He starts 17th. Kenny Brady alongside in 18th. Sean Conklin in 19th, and Kwame Scott outside row number 10, last week's race winner.
You can see qualifying times only go through the top 25, so Ray Alfalo with some work to do, the multi-time champ, Justin Campbell with him, and then Matt Busa, who finds himself in a position from outside of the top 40 up to 33rd. It's a big night for him, Reynolds and Frisch. Now, Sebastian Marin, second in the points, no time to qualify. He has to start from P26, ahead of Kevin Champagne, Blake McCandless, Justin Smith, and Octavio Rondoletto.
Then only 4 drivers left in this field. Rocky Boyd, the third, 31st. Thomas Lloyd, a deep start in 32nd. We've seen him a ton in second split this season, so first split start. Johnny Avila and Seth Noel to bring in our 34-car field from Michigan.
That is your Coca-Cola starting grid for race number 10. And as the field now rolls off of the pit lane, let's take a deep dive with our Coca-Cola race analysis.
70 laps tonight around this 2-mile track, 140 miles in total. Pit road speed, 55 miles per hour, 3 sets of tires available, and an estimated pit window of 39 to 44 laps. That's well over half, more than halfway. And we saw the pit window last week, guys, and Kwame Scott blew it out of the water. So we'll see what they have in the cards for the drivers and their teams tonight, what they can strategize to potentially pull off. We'll see.
I appreciate the emphasis on the estimated. We might have to put, what is it, a tilde or an asterisk, something on there, because we'll see if these drivers are presented an opportunity to get unique with it. Of course, it was the surprise victory for Kwame Scott just a week ago, became the newest in a long list of race winners. Of those who have been at victory lane so far in the top split this year, 6 of them contesting tonight's race here in Michigan. And it's big moments. We talked about it on Countdown to Green, KB. We saw the drops added into the points. We get a real good picture now with 2 to go.
Yeah, there is going to be no margin for error if you're around that top 30, and you factor in that drop, changes the picture a ton, so you have to really alter your perspective if you haven't already thought about what your drop is going to look like, hoping tonight is not it. 2 races to go in a long season.
Jacob Wilkerson, 34th in points, needs some magic. He starts from pole. Pace car down and in. Let's go racing in Michigan. Good start early. You see some separation. Call it the back half of the top 10, but your leaders all over each other and already using that wide racing surface here at MIS to their advantage, spreading them out through the corners. They've got 73 feet to work with through those 18-degree banked corners. At the front of the field, Wilkerson cycles through to the number 1 position. Kerner in second, and then from third on back, who knows, off of turn 4, they're side by side.
Yeah, there were 3 wide there, Evan, on that opening lap. Nearly 4 wide at the back of the field. Still drivers figuring out their positions over this first lap. Of course, they're going to use the lanes to their advantage. A lot of it is to escape that dirty air, get in some clean air in front, be able to rotate that race car better. How about nearly 5 wide in the middle of the pack? Christopher Pfeffer trying to make things happen with Kenny Brady, Graham Boland in the middle of the group, still 3 abreast, and now 2 abreast down the straightaway. Again, using that draft to their advantage and using the discipline of tire saving and cornering in the middle of these corners here at MIS to make it to their advantage, and it's been fun to watch only through 2 laps.
Ooh, the potential for 5 wide like we saw is why we love this track. The push off turn 4, that's going to create some havoc later on in this race when the tires start to go away. But we can see some of the names in the top 5, the top 10. Guys, I don't think that's a coincidence that these are some of the drivers who need good finishes. We are running out of time if you want to hope to make the championship series. Put yourself in that points position. Rael Fowler returning to the series this year, trying to make that climb up there. Probably hasn't gone as well as he would have hoped, but for one of the GOATs of this series and the sport is trying to finish out this year strong. Currently 22nd, but seeing what he can do here at Michigan.
He certainly had some bad luck this year, but a lot of the races have looked exactly like that. Stuck into midfield and just kind of unable to get maybe the extra 5 to 10 spots that would make a real difference when it comes to qualifying inside of the top 30 or not. You see the 24, that's Christopher Pfeffer. It's easy to spot the green and black Toyota center of it all. He was 3 wide. They single file it out as they head down the back straightaway. A couple of drivers with some big moves early as Tyler Gary goes to the inside of Quinton Warman. That's a battle for 11th and 12th. Daniel Falkenham, he's up 7 spots in 3rd. Quinton Warman, just mentioned him. He's already up 5 spots, now make it 6 as he'll get a nose in front at the start-finish line. So drivers taking advantage early to move their way forward, but it is no change in the hot seat. Wilkerson from pole has led all 4 laps completed thus far. His advantage only 2/10, not able to pull away. What a move there as Tyler Gary splits the gap off of 2.
And these are stories all across the board, Evan, of drivers either behind that cut line or above. Blake Reynolds, guys like Matt Busa, Nick Olson, Kevin West, that we saw all those drivers below the top 30, and Wilkerson is one of them, down 44 from the top 30, so being in the pole right now and taking control of the lead early is very important. Guys like Kenny Brady kind of meandering around 173 above in 21st, but we know the point swing in any given affair can take you from contender to possibly 0 by the time of it, so everyone's really just getting that bearing together, a lot of those passes because of it.
We'll take a quick look down in split number 2. Blake Neer, the driver you're watching as they come through 4, and it's trouble in the center of the corner. 14 tried to save it, thought he had it saved about 2 to 3 times. That thing snaps back up the hill and a big hit late for the driver of the number 33 machine. So already under the yellow in split number 2. We'll be keeping an eye on that one as this night goes on. As we know, there are a lot of drivers. Armstrong, Basin, Stewart, split 2 guys who are top 10, top 20 drivers in the points, critical stuff going on while this race is happening, so we'll be keeping you up to date with all of that over the course of this race. Is 70 laps on the board here in Michigan. Still watching the Pfeffer machine, who's down 4 positions from the get-go, but up and in the mix of it right now in a battle for position. That's Garrett Lowe in the white number 9.
And that's where you see Blake Reynolds again talking about his situation, like Wilkerson, also below the cut line, but this time he's down 61. He's had a kind of back and forth season similar to drivers like Daniel Falkingham, who have been up and down in various places, mid-pack finishes, strategies that have gone either pretty well or pretty awry, and that's where everyone's cutting their teeth right there in that mid-pack. And you watch all the drivers use that high line. They want all that momentum, especially here off of turn 4, those first few laps. Everyone gets into that draft together. They look up high and they go up to that wall because they know the draft and the momentum is there. Hence why you're seeing all of those battles go in the favor of those top-sided cars, because they have the line, they have the draft, and much like Auto Club, when you have those numbers, it works out for you by the time you get back to turn 1.
Looks like we may have a battle here for the lead soon between Jacob Wilkinson and Adam Garza. Look, Wilkinson needs this good finish. He's been controlling the race so far. Guys, we asked him, what do you want people to know about you? And Jacob said, did you know I can play the viola? So had to get that out there while he's still leading this race. A multi-talented racer, but he also told us he's been wanting this. He's been wanting to get to the championship series since he started watching back in 2013. Think about that, a 13-year dream, maybe within reach. He's leading this race right now.
And one thing I can't stress enough, right? You talk about these two are in a very similar boat. Garza, 14 above the cut line. Wilkerson, 44 below. NASCAR brain tells me 44 below is a lot. That's not the case. There are hundreds of points available for the top finishers in each race. This isn't 35 and then 34 and 33. There's a lot more based on how these snake splits work. So 14, I wouldn't be comfortable if that was NASCAR Cup Series 14 points, but that's eNASCAR qualifying 14 points. That might as well be a nil, and you got out there and have a good night. So really impressive stuff we're seeing from the 43 and the 48 machine running up inside of those top 2 positions. Both of them bubble drivers needing to execute over the course of these next 2 weeks. Second split back under green on the bottom of your screen. That race has got some big names in it. Like always, Carson Hocevar participating in that one again. We've checked in many a times with him over the course of the season, but former championship series guys like Casey Tucker in the mix as well. So a lot of critical things happening in split number 2. We'll be keeping you posted with those all night long. So far up top, though, Wilkerson holding Garza off, but it may be a matter of time. That 48 car is down to a single car length in the difference for the race lead.
We saw similar performance from Garza very early on that Auto Club Speedway race, and you can kind of categorize that as, all right, well, there were different cars. We were racing the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars then. These are next-gen Cup cars, and that is a valid point to an extent, but fundamental racing and tire saving, that can be disciplined across all different types of vehicles. And for Adam Garza, that's been going well for him so far in the early run. Has a lot of pace, especially good rotation off the corner. That's helping him just gain a bit more ground on Wilkerson, and he's got potential help with Cozy and Falkingham that can make this a 4-horse race, and that is going to be important if Garza can use that draft to take over the lead.
Of course, as we get late in the season, iRacing.com/eNASCAR, your home. If you go to the /qualifying, you can stay up to date with the standings after every single race. After tonight, only one race remains. In the top 30, yeah, they're going to free agency, but we've been talking to drivers already locked into the championship series that have already signed deals with teams. So those spots, even more limited than it may seem. We've had that conversation all year on having to blend the success and the results with marketing and selling yourself. And there's still going to be 10 drivers who advance out of this that do not see the start of the championship series when that comes up in a couple of weeks. Well, Michael Cozy Jr. has now overtaken Garza for P2. Our Coca-Cola featured driver started 5th, and now he is the challenger to Wilkerson. We'll see if he can do something. When Garza got up there, got to the bumper, kind of stalled out a little bit. We'll see if Cozy fares any better, as we're already more than a dozen laps complete.
Got a very good car to start. I mean, we mentioned the way his season kind of turned around. It almost looked like in the Daniel Falkingham way of free fall through the points, and then that mulligan, the drop round comes in, he's top 10. after some good performances over the last few weeks. So a way this series is kind of turned on its head when you factor in the drop versus when you don't. And Cozy's got a real good run off of turn 2. That's kind of what you want to set up here on Wilkerson. Take the line that he's not. Use the run off the corner to settle behind, and then potentially use some of that drafting help if you can to slingshot around. But you don't want to be trapped on the inside. The drivers have put so much energy in it already. You go down there, more often than not, car will slip up. But then, most importantly, you'll have a freight train of cars in draft behind you from the outside that could take the position away.
I love the drafting aspect of this track, the physics behind it. We're looking at Quentin Warman right now, looking to dive low into turn 1. Old school NASCAR fans will remember the tandem racing that we used to have. There are some moments on this track we've seen early, guys, where it seemed they are just so close, pushing almost as a pair, working as one to get by one another. That's what it's going to take to make some of these passes tonight. It's a beautiful aspect of Michigan.
And what a year it's been for Quentin Warman. I don't want to say it's been quiet, but we started the year talking about Seb Marin so much, and rightfully so. His start in the trucks was phenomenal, carried it into a week number 1 win in the O'Reilly cars, but it has been Warman who has been the consistent man. Has not gone to victory lane at a top split race, but is your points leader with just 2 weeks to go. And in a world where making the top 30 does not guarantee you a spot on the grid, KB, winning the championship means something, right? You could make the argument under the old format, as long as you're top 30, you're fine. It doesn't make a difference. It does. Right? I think winning the championship versus second versus third, that not only means something to these drivers, it means something to the teams that they're trying to have solicit them to drive for them.
And it pushes up your marketing perspective to teams. You're like, well, if I have the personality as well to market this team and do well, as you watch the battle for the lead between Wilkerson and Cozy, you say, I have the performance to back it up. I can dominate a series. I can perform well each and every week, which in turn becomes a situation of, I can give your sponsors more TV time. I can put yourself at the front, give yourself a chance at winning some prizes at the end of the season. And remember, Warman wasn't exactly an outskirts driver in the top 20 either. He was around that cut line, Evan, last season in the championship series. So by no means was he a driver guaranteed out. He had a possible chance to sneak back in with his teammate Connor Yuroshak at the time. And now he's working his way back in, hungrier than ever.
We talked about Sebastian Marin. Not good so far. Behind the wheel of the number 23 machine. Obviously, the transition to the Cup cars, we argue maybe one of the biggest changes from trucks to O'Reilly and then O'Reilly to the Cup cars. Started 26th, 29th right now. Again, this is a guy who was driving circles around everybody, Alan, and obviously, you can kind of pad the numbers if you're more comfortable in the trucks or the O'Reilly cars to get your points where you want them, to maybe play a little bit of defense in the back 9 in these Cup cars. But at the end of the day, these are the cars. This is the talent level that you're going to have to compete against when you get to the championship series.
Look, at no excuses at this level, but we just saw where he's racing from. That wasn't his normal setup. I don't know if there's a story behind that or if that's throwing him off his game just a little bit, but it is surprising. We know he started him back. I don't think he made a qualifying lap, but for him to be this far back still 20 laps into this race, not the Sebastian Marin we've come to know so far in the qualifying series. So, hey, it's time to put up. I mean, if he is going to make it to that jump to the championship series, he's got to be the competition for everybody else. We know they're watching him. He's got to finish the series strong.
And Alan, to that point, remember Marin's troubles last week at Chicagoland. His pedals weren't working. He had to use a friend's rig. He's still on that friend's rig. The pedals were not fixed. He couldn't find a solution to the problem, so hence why he's still in that brand new setup and still figuring things out behind the wheel. But we saw how well he did last week as 4 wide develops right in front and banging doors. Navarro goes sideways, back straightaway off the side of Graham Bolin, and our first yellow comes out 21 laps deep.
It's a quick trigger finger for Barney the flagman. The yellow comes out. Navarro fortunate that there is a ton of space on that back straightaway apron, so he was able to skid to a stop without further incident. There's not going to be much, if any, damage on the number 42 machine, but that is going to throw a wrench in this race because we just mentioned how wacky maybe the fuel strategy was a week ago in Chicago. Our fuel window, 39 to 44. That yellow at 49 laps to go. Just could set us up for some interesting things as split number 1's under the yellow. Let's jump back in and check in with our first full look at split number 2. Cabe McClenney, your current race leader in this one. You see Tommy Gossett right up there in the number 2 position. Tommy's another bubble driver. He's 32nd in the points, 29 below the cut line. P2 would get the job done. He's doing exactly what he needs early, maybe even thinking about more as he looks to the inside for the lead.
That's a textbook pass here in Michigan. You make that draft on the outside, you poke in that space off of turn 2, and you just complete the task there. Gossett with a great job of getting around for the lead. There's another look at what happened on the bottom of your screen in the top split. So Navarro, that white, yellow, and black machine on the inside, makes the move on Warman, and look how far everyone goes around. It's different lanes, different types of momentum. Phases coming off of turn 2. It becomes 4 wide very quickly, and by that point, Graham Boland just makes a slight decision, moves maybe about a half lane down, and that gets right into the side of Navarro, comes right back up into the car on top, and then it just creates a ping pong effect of going back and forth, to which point Navarro was the breaking point going sideways, and thankfully no other damage for Navarro. He'll have to most likely service that coming down pit road. Will take him a bit of time.
He's going to be down pit road. Looks like everybody coming down pit road. So it's going to be a universal decision amongst the drivers in split number 1. Just looking at some of the other names running up front here in split 2. Remember, they had an early yellow as well. So they're pretty condensed together. They're top 5-6 cars all within a few tenths of a second of the leader. Nobody able to really pull away out in front of this thing. You got Basin, somebody we talk about a lot. You got a Ryan Doucette, a Jake Nichols. Those are some series veteran names also there just outside of the top 10. So a lot happening as on the bottom is the 25 of McClenney trying to keep Gossett behind him. Did that 88 get the nose at the outside? He did. So the Thunderbirds inspired paint scheme for Tommy Gossett. Going to try to go the long way around in the battle for the lead. McClenney tries to drive it in, but I think he's going to have it there wound up on the top, and he does. New race leader off of turn 2.
You carry so much speed going into turns 1 and 2, Alan, that it's hard to plant the bottom for McClenney. It took him a little while.
Oh, I just love it from Tommy Gossett, seeing some Dale Earnhardt Jr.-esque drafting type passes in a beautiful Dale Earnhardt-esque paint scheme. That's one of the better ones we've seen all year.
There's an onboard look with Carson Hocevar, not the view that he's accustomed to having. Most of the time we check in with Carson, he's in a competitive position, and for early in the year when he was able to make every race was actually in a top 30 qualifying spot. But as a real-world NASCAR driver, he got some other responsibilities, hasn't been able to make it every week, and for one reason or another, not in a competitive position right now in this race back in the high 20s. But again, just appears to be off cycle with something, and again, they've had a caution and a pit cycle already, so something must have put him to the rear. Looking back up towards the front of the field, once Gossett got around to McClenney, Dylan Basin was the next man up, and he may not be done. Basin through to second, and now Joseph Galata in the number 99 car going to try to make another move. So once McClenney drops out of the clean air, slower lapped car above them going to break up that battle for third for the moment, but it'll be interesting to see how McClenney can navigate the traffic now that he's not up front and enjoying the clean air, and the field serpentines around that slower car that stays high.
But now you just have to experiment. I mean, if this car and the tires are starting to fall off to a point where you've lost speed at the top group and you've pushed so hard, now you experiment with different lines, and you're watching McClenney use the high side. He wants to compensate for the lost ground by using momentum from the high end of the racetrack, but now it's just not working. The tire cliff has begun. Drivers are getting into that longer part of the run where it's less about pack racing and more so about how you can strategically put your way through the corners, and that's where Dylan Basin has grown so strong, a driver who won last week in the next-gen car at Chicagoland, a two-time winner this season in the qualifying series and top 10 in points, now prepping up a charge for the lead on Gossett in turn 3.
And that's the benefit of this track, is that it gives you those options where if the tires are falling away, you can search for something better. You can search for that cleaner air in the line to get it on the nose of your car and get better handling as we go back to the top split after that caution where everybody looks like they came in. Maybe someone tries to make it on fuel without any more cautions in this race.
Green flag drops at 46 to go. I would call that close enough to make it a talking point. Everybody pitted, but not everybody agreed on what the strategy call was. Your top 5 cars decided to take 2. It was about a 50-50 split throughout the field entirely. So Eddie Kerner is the first car on 4 tires. Both he and Cozy in the pit box for the full 15 seconds it takes to do 4. Everybody else, 10 or 11 seconds is the time on pit road to change 2. So it is a split strategy decision throughout the field, but it has allowed Daniel Falkenham to get out front and lead his first laps of the race, courtesy of the 2-tire decision. We'll see how long that may last. Again, Kerner, first car on 4. That's the blue and yellow number 38, 5th in line up top.
That's been a smart call with these next-gen cars. We saw it a bit in the O'Reilly segment, maybe even in the Craftsman Trucks segment earlier this season. But for the most part, in this car, the tire wear is not as drastic as it is on the other vehicles. So you have that possibility. Take 2 fresh tires. All the dirty air and the aerodynamic features of this car different from the others. It's going to be harder to make passes naturally on the racetrack unless the grip difference is too big. So you can do 2 tires, gain that track position, and just plan. Set yourself there and steady at the front with a wall of defense behind you. And that's what Falkingham does. And that's a move he needs, guys, for points to stay alive. 61 above that top 30 cut line. So I agree with that call on 2 tires. Just make your way to the front.
Potential battle for the lead down there at the second split. But up on top split, on top of your screen, you mentioned it, Daniel Falkingham needing this run. Such an odd season so far. Series, getting the victory and then kind of falling off a cliff in terms of some of his finishes. Now trying to climb his way back in now that we have the drop factored in. The easiest way to have him breathe easy is get a victory tonight here at Michigan.
Of the split one drivers, he is only the 16th highest in the points. Now, again, that does equate to 26th overall. He's above the cut line, but he's going to need good runs. Over these last 2 weeks, the margin for error is just not there if he wants to be able to safely stay inside of a transfer position. He may have a battle for the lead on his hands shortly because Garza is trying to wind this thing up from second. They're side by side, third behind. Again, that's Kerner on the bottom continuously trying to get the advantage of the 4 tires. And behind them, 3 wide, Conklin, Bolin, and Cozy fanning him out through the center of turns 1 and 2. It's a split screen look at all the different battles happening just inside of the top 10 in split number 1 alone.
And by the way, guys, on the restart, I was hearing drivers on the radio. Rocky Boyd III was one of them, and he was literally just saying 4, 4, 4. We are 4 wide. That's how wide Michigan is, and it's still, even in this early short run, the drivers are giving it all that they've got. You're going to see that 3 and 4 wide action a lot more, but you've seen the type of dichotomy between Eddie Kerner on fresh tires. He chooses to be very aggressive early in this run. He knows how close he is to that race lead. Drivers like Michael Cozy Jr. struggling a little more. Perhaps that's the mid-pack talking, or maybe it's just the fact that he's conserving a little more of those 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles to then use it later. But he's in the hornet's nest, middle 3 wide with Conklin and Wyatt Tinsley, and now 3 wide in front with Mercurio, Garza, and the 66 of Blake Reynolds on the outside.
Yeah, Reynolds squeezed up to the fence that time. He's pushing that number 48 machine in front of him, trying to give Bolin a boost to get on going, but they'll stay up top. And that's where the speed has been, to wind it up, carry the speed through the corner. And a couple of drivers no more than a car length and a half off the wall. Different story for Cozy on the bottom. He's going to squeeze the 3 Mercurio. When you're down there, you want to be able to get as wide of a berth on exit as you can. That 3 is still bouncing around in the center of 3 wide. You're seeing the 41 machine as well. Same story. So 3 wide. And these drivers are all over the place. Brian Mercurio getting teamed up on. Finally, you take a moment for a breath as he jumps up to the outside line and gets a push now from Kwame Scott, your winner from a week ago.
And I've been looking up the scoring pylon, thinking about a guy like Kwame Scott, who we talked about the fuel savings last week. That has to start at the beginning of the run. Is someone around 12th, 13th, 14th, like Kwame Scott, already thinking about potential fuel savings to be the one who has the most fuel at the end to put themselves in position to win? Kwame showed us he could do it last week. Someone is thinking about it, and if they are, they're probably in that middle of the pack right now.
Well, there is one race left to go on this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series campaign, and it is next week. The Sim Racing Expo 150 from iRacing's virtual Texas Motor Speedway is coming at you Tuesday, April 28th. It's at 8 o'clock Eastern start, 7:45 for Countdown to Green, right here on the iRacing Esports Network. Talking about this race at Michigan being a championship series playoff preview. Texas, same thing. That's also going to be a race in the round of 12 for the championship series playoffs. And that is as good as a segue as any to bring our driver analyst back into the conversation. It's two-time championship series champion Steven Wilson. And, by the way, defending champ. We won't bury the lead on that one, Steven. So this is a new format, right? You're used to racing by this point after requalifying for the championship series. So we've spent a lot of time talking about the adjustments that the guys competing in this qualifying series have had to make. But from your perspective, how is this different from a guy who's sitting on the sideline longer than he's used to?
Yeah, it's definitely different for me. And obviously right now I'm thinking about all these guys who are going to be making top 30 right now. They're getting an advantage on us right now, getting to race, get these situations in the next gen car that we'll be racing here soon. So it's crazy. This race has been wild. You know, these guys are just trying to protect their right rears, but find clean air. And honestly, kind of surprised with some strategy. We had Cozy take 4 out of the lead. He was really fast that first run, and he's just almost been nowhere. He's going backwards right now. And it's just, he just can't get a right situation with his line, and he's just getting unlucky. So I was surprised he took 4, but looking at some of these guys' streams, I have the capability to do that, just sitting here watching the broadcast and watching these guys' streams. But this is about when we had a caution in our championship series race last year, and obviously we had me and Femi do short fuel last year, and we got lucky with the yellow. But right now these guys are looking like they're barely going to make it to the end, so I wouldn't expect them to pit. And right now it's all about that track position then.
Watching Bolin battle right here with Adam Garza, two of the Price Chopper Chevrolets for the Pioneers. Steven, from the time that you walked away as a champion at the end of last year's championship series to the time you'll start the season at Charlotte, which will be different than normal, May 19th is round number 1 this year. How much can change with the cars, right? iRacing obviously goes through quarterly builds and updates. So as someone who's sitting on the sideline, you mentioned these guys have an advantage. Is the advantage that they're driving on a car that's constantly changing, or is it more so just the routine of being in top-level competitive races?
I would say it's some of both. You know, I've been racing, mock racing, practicing, testing with my teammates here, the NFR and EPI guys who are running pretty well right now. So I know we're going to have good setups, have a good piece. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about, usually we have that Daytona start, and it's kind of like, okay, you're riding around in a pack, you feel safe at the start of the race, you kind of get back into a rhythm before you hit a track like a mile and a half that we usually would have second. And then now this year we've had, a bunch of time off. We're going to have 7 months off, and you got to go straight into a mile and a half. You got to be on it as a driver, and it's a bit different. It's something to get used to. And there's been some updates to the next gen car. It kind of drives a little bit different. Depends on the track. Each track is different with this thing, and it's a completely different beast no matter where you go. So obviously right now, Michigan, I think those guys who raced this last year, we had a playoff race here in the championship series. You see Graham's up there, Falkingham's up there. You see these guys who raced last year in this, they know what to do, they know what they need to do, and it's pretty similar to what we had last year. So it'll be different. We raced Charlotte last year. Charlotte's one that's been normal on the schedule, so it won't be something completely new to get used to, but it'll be different for sure.
Steven, we've talked a lot about how this qualifying series has been all about consistency with the different cars and the shorter season in general. That shortens the normal championship series season. So while you've had this time off and getting some laps in when you can, how different is the approach going to be as a driver when you have a less of a schedule versus what you did last year and the years before that?
Yeah, going into what will be the playoffs later in the year, we only have, I think it's 9 races in the regular season. So even if you have a different winner in each one, there's still going to be that one guy who points his way in to the playoffs. So it's a little bit different. You don't have to win a race to get in. You would love to win a race. Obviously, we saw last year. I was in a spot, and I made it the same way. You got a bunch of guys in points with just how many races I won, and then Tucker won, and then Vicente won a few too. So I don't know if it'll be the same this year. Obviously, it's different. I think the competition level changes each year and gets better and better as these guys just get more experience on the racetrack. So we'll see what happens right here. We reckon we are loose. Yep, we're going to have Frisch losing it, so that's unfortunate. That's a teammate for me, but yeah, it'll be different for sure.
spinner on the back straightaway. Caution flag number 2 of the afternoon here in split number 1. So already inside of what we think would be the fuel window to go to the end of the race, and it was trouble for Michael Frisch. He was scored 14th at the start-finish line the last time by, but obviously got into it, I think, with might have been Kwame Scott machine or Rocky Boyd. That's going to bring us past halfway home in tonight's race. Coverage of our broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. And by the Sim Racing Expo. From the Green Hell to the Queen City, the world's largest Sim Racing Expo is racing into Charlotte Memorial Day weekend. One of the other points that we've talked about all year long, Stephen, and we've been jumping between top split, second split, third split on occasion, is there are drivers in split 2, split 3, and earlier in the year, 4 and 5 as well, who were scoring enough points to be above the top 30. So it hasn't happened in a long time, but you've gone through snake splits before. What does that do to the drivers in some of those other splits? Trying to realize that, hey, they're also competing against these guys as we get a second look at the spin there off of turn number 2. But obviously a top 10 in split 1 is going to give you enough points to advance. But, you know, that margin for error gets a lot higher and tighter the lower you get.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, you got guys in lower splits they're not making as many points for a win, but obviously they can still finish top 2, top 3, and it should be easier for them, right? And then a lower split, lower strength of field. So, but as we go, obviously people drop out, you know, they get out of the points or they weren't planning on running the full season. So these guys also move up in splits as we go, and they can make more and more points. So if they're farther out, then they can get into, you know, we have guys who probably started third or fourth split. Now they're in second split, or they've raced official races during the season. They have plenty of time to gain iRating and make their way into these higher splits as well. So it's just a good gauge if you put yourself in a higher split to know where you'll be once you make the championship series, if you get to that point. Because most of these guys in the top split are capable of doing that, or they're the guys who are closest to the championship drivers. So we got a lot of guys. I know we'll have some second split guys, so I don't really see. Normally in my races, I might not know some names who make it from these second, third splits in the free agency later, and I'll just be like, man, I don't know who that is. But hey, you never know. We see new guys, new rookies each year, and they can light it up.
And Alan, I'll let you jump here in a sec. Just a housekeeping note. This is split 2, so they are also under the caution flag. We talked about Tommy Gossett, 26 spots gained. He was up front earlier. That's important. Also, about a split strategy. 1/3 of the cars in top split, Alan, coming down to the pit lane this time. That means 2/3 stay out. First car in fresh tires is going to be Matthew Morton in 20th.
Yeah, strategy so important. We'll see how it plays out. Steven, you mentioned the teammates and who you work with, especially on the back end of things. You will have a teammate next month when we hit the championship series. Do you weigh in? Do you have anyone that you prefer? How do you look toward who you want to race with when we hit the championship series?
Yeah, usually when we reach that point, it's usually your back-end teammates that you want the most because you trust those guys. You know the speed that they'll have. You know the processes, and you know who's fast on your own team. You don't really get to see the guys from these other setup teams back-end wise and how fast they are, how good they are in the next-gen car, in practice and all that, and just how their mentality is throughout the year. That's a big thing as well. So obviously I've got Femi, who's been my teammate last year. He'll be coming back probably. We'll see. But yeah, I look forward to him being my teammate, hopefully. And obviously, it was kind of funny we were looking at Hosvar on the screen there for a second. And he was in the points. He was going to make the top 30 through the truck portion. And we were like, man, what if he joined Spire for the iRacing stuff? That'd be kind of funny. But
I think he's busy. Is he kind of
a little
busy?
bit. He's probably usually busy on Tuesdays, but yeah, he runs these races now just to kind of go off strategy and have some fun with it. So I appreciate that. He's still, it's cool to see his name. He saw me through iRacing, so it's pretty cool what that led to, and obviously he's been a good friend. So yeah, it's pretty cool to see all these guys running, real life guys. We saw Rajaz run some races, and he's won a couple times, I think, and Caden. So yeah, we see a bunch of these guys running the races on Tuesdays.
Would it be the first time we've seen Cup drivers at this top level? I know it was a different day and age, but of course, Dale Jr. raced in the first year of this series. Timmy Hill did it for a handful back in the mid to late 2010. So would not be the first time, but good to see those drivers involved nonetheless. So the green flag back in the air, 32 laps to go in split number 2. We'll get more insights from our driver analyst, Stephen Wilson, a little bit later on in the race. But as split number 2 is back underway at 32 to go, top split is coming to the green flag with 27 to go. John Hall is your split 2 leader. Daniel Falkenham still leading split number 1.
Watch that help on both sides of the screen, on top and bottom. The way it all works to just nose ahead off of either corner when you come off of a green flag restart and everybody is on the same playing field. Tommy Gossett to the inside, second row trying to push to the inside. John Hall making the nose ahead in turn 1, but look at that freight train. Everyone going up high, trying to block the door. Tommy Gossett shuts the opportunity off for everyone behind, and it is still side by side for the lead in second split at the exit of turn 2.
Drag racing down the back straightaway now. John Hall pulls in line. Gossett now right back down underneath him, trying to take advantage of that moment. Is he going to be able to slide up in front, though, off of turn number 4? Yes, he does. So Gossett slides up in front of Hall. No crossover. He'll go low to protect. And that battle for second may give Jake Nichols a momentary opportunity to breathe a sigh of relief. He's only got a car length advantage, but with a whole lap uncontested behind them, look out. Patrick Moose and Cabe McClenny almost got together on the entry to turn number 1. Equally as chaotic on the bottom of your screen in split number 1. Falkenham and Boland clear, but third place on back is where it's side by side.
Just have to be so patient in these moments, but then you have to find the moments to rush, right? You go right into the middle of a pack, you see a gap, you put your car there, or if not, you're going to get freight trained and tons of cars will go around you. And even in top split, we saw those drivers come down pit road from the very back of this field. But there's Michael Cozy Jr., that red Coca-Cola Chevrolet, just cutting his way through 13th. We saw him fall back there from the strategy earlier on. And it shows you when you go further back in this pack with the competition we have in this series, it becomes equally as difficult, if not more difficult, to make up one position after position because everybody's got their own lane, everybody has their own thing to run, and all of a sudden, outside 3 wide coming down the backstretch.
That proverbial hornet's nest, we see it on Saturdays and Sundays in real life, and we see it here every week here in the qualifying series. The further you get back, the tougher it seems to get because everybody is fighting tooth and nail every single lap as we go back to the top split and watch again this battle that's going on in the mid-pack with the 42 car of I believe that's Navarro and our Coke Series driver Quentin Warman coming up. He's down there on the bottom trying to make up that track position once again. The strategy can jumble everything up and then you have to fight for those positions once again.
A bit of uncharacteristically quiet night for Quentin Warman, right? We were talking about how Seb Merrind was back in traffic. It is still back there in the number 22 spot, while his championship counterpart, Quentin Warman, the points leader, is down in 17th. It has been kind of stuck in that area for much of this race. Adam Garza, third place in points. Where's he at? 16th position. Garrett Maines, fourth place in points, 34th and out of the race. I mean, it is not a big night for a lot of the big names, and where if all of them are having issues, it would just take one of those top 5 guys to get a top 5 and really separate themselves. So far, nobody, Kenneth, able to do that. Just a lot of mid-pack running for some of the biggest names in this series at the moment.
It's just been one of those nights for the titans of this series right now at the top of the points, but then you also think about how Michigan could be a pretty great equalizer if you're not talking about the already established super speedways where anyone can try and go at it for a win and where even the best drivers, consistency-wise, can struggle and find themselves in bad luck scenarios. Michigan, with all the drafting, all the different types of changing in track position, plus just a caveat of this next-gen car as we ride on board with Thomas Lloyd, all this frenetic moving around different lanes, one moment, a bad decision, and all of a sudden you're going to lose around 4 to 5 spots, and you just see how even the best in this series so far have struggled to move by because everyone's equalized in this tight pack of cars in Michigan.
We can see it, just the panic, the stress. It is so much more stressful back here, racing for 16th, 17th. Shout out to Blake McCandless having a good run tonight, but just how frenetic it is back there running mid-pack. And then you get up here, it looks a little calmer out front. I know it isn't for these leaders, but we have a battle for the lead. A little shake coming off for Kenny Brady. He's able to maintain and stick the lead on the backstretch there. Great racing up front. Still, just pins and needles up front as everybody's trying to attack Brady right now.
Fogelham trying to pull the Tyler Reddick and bounce back after a bad set of quarters. He got way loose last time in turns 1 and 2, lost 3-4 spots down the backstretch, and then in 3 and 4, just basically kept his foot in it because he was slower on entry and was able to get back even. So it'll still end up as a net loss of 2. So Fogelham goes from the race lead to scrapping 3 wide in a battle for third. But looked like it was going to be worse there. Does he find a spot up top? He does. Not a lot of spare room there as he squeaked in between the car in front of him, and that was Matthew Morton in the number 5 up on the outside. Less than 20 laps to go in split number 1. Meanwhile, split 2 with some more drama as we watch the replay. This is down the back straightaway, headed into 3, and just a complete miscalculation. Then the number 25 car spinning with trouble down there in split number 2. That wide apron, though, means another spin that does not result in serious car damage. Look at this, 3 wide, a couple of rows deep. This battle just outside of the top 10.
We mentioned drivers at the top of the point standings that haven't been in the spotlight so much tonight. Wyatt Tinsley had to catch a couple flights to get to his home rig. He made the race. He had concerns whether he was even going to be here in this race tonight, but he has shown up. He's middle top 15. And we watch these different lanes that the drivers use. You see those dark lines at the bottom of the speedway and across to the outside wall. Those are all different seams, bits of creases in the gaps of the asphalt here at Michigan. You can use that as a grip strip, if you will. You put the left side tires on it on the bottom, the car can rotate a lot better. And the reason why we've seen drivers like Falkingham get sideways up front, you cross those seams or maybe you get the right side tires on it, car over rotates, and you have the problem of a near spinning car that you have to save, plus the lost time that comes from attempting to save that car. So you're seeing all these different lines, plus the attempt to get clean air, plus all the track position changes, Allen and tires. I mean, this is just wild. 4 wide, 3 wide, Reynolds at the top, and it's all mayhem in the top 15.
Multiple battles throughout the race. You can see them on your screen. And look, they're playing nice coming off turn 4. That's all I can say right now. They are squeezing in where there isn't much room. We're only 16 laps to go. When we get less than 10, 5 laps to go, the drivers are not going to be as nice to each other. There's not going to be as much give, and that squeeze coming off of turn 4 is going to turn bad for somebody. It's going to get more competitive here as the laps wind down.
And shout out to Matthew Morton, Quinton Warman, and Sean Conklin. Those 3 drivers pitted under the most recent yellow 14 laps ago. They all restarted outside of the top 20. Remember, 2/3 of the field did not pit. It was a minority decision for the drivers who did. They came in, took 4 tires, and in the 14 laps since then, have driven their way to 2nd, 4th, and 5th, with Morton just now making that pass for P2 onto Falkingham and Warman doing the same. So you want to talk about a quick way to turn things around? Maybe what you could argue was a bit of a gamble at the time, really paying off well. And unless Kenny Brady's got some secret sauce, those guys on the fresh tires look like they're due to a trip to the top of the scoring pylon.
And Evan, if you want to be a successful driver in any fundamental part of racing, you have to believe in the decisions that you make. And the belief in this decision, they saw the fresh tires on the board, they saw how many laps to go, and they were like, well, we can probably go green. If we go green, these cars are unstoppable, and we can have that extra grip. That is the exact gamble that paid off for them. Understanding this race was going to go into a long stretch after a couple of those flurry of yellows that brought us under pacing for a while, and now it's starting to work. Matthew Morton's catching up there. He's got a run on Kenny Brady for the lead off turn 4.
Closing in on the battle for the race lead. Where does the move come from Matthew Morton? A 4-tire pit stop, 16 laps to go is going to give him the upper hand in this battle. Also battling back in 15th, a couple of teammates in the midfield. Kenny Brady misses it off of the corner, and Matthew Morton, new race leader at lap number 58 for the first time in this race. Warman is through to 2nd. I would expect Conklin to be there shortly as he gets around Kenny Brady for 3rd. And the pit stop strategy cycles these 3 to the race lead, coming to 12 laps to go.
I mean, we have seen lots of great stuff from Matthew Morton, especially over the last few weeks. Remember, Chicagoland, he was a race leader. He was up at the front, a strong pace car in the early runs, and then it just kind of meandered out later on, and then through the strategy, everything got shook up. So all the drivers who were formerly contenders then were just kind of relegated back to the top 15 and top 20. But Morton has a chance to solidify not only his first win this season, Evan, but we've talked about how the teams have been involved in the Money Lap Challenge for eRacer that we talked with them last week. He's looking to lock up that championship, give him a spot into the championship series, and now coming down to the final 11 laps, he's got a chance to do it.
Quentin Warman once more. We talked about him getting into the points lead now that we factored in the drops. Had some of the best paint schemes throughout this season, as he loves that Hendrick yellow, neon yellow color, the 67 there. And he's not afraid to do a little throwback. And you can see this is him, the concentration that Warman has. The point leader trying to get his first win here in this qualifying series. But guys, every week, I think sometimes he's run the 84 before. Ode to Kyle Busch. The throwback Hendrick schemes are always really nice.
Who doesn't like that neon Hendrick-style number colors? And Quinton Morvan trying to go up ahead. There he is. The good look at that Nexus and Splash and Go Toyota. And right now, it's going to be looking for the top step of the podium in this race because he has caught Morton, and this is a straight-up fight. Two cars on the same strategy, only working about a half a second advantage. You see the blue and white Toyota behind them. Conklin also on the fresher of the tires. So if these two engage in a battle for the lead, and they slow each other down, they may just invite Conklin into the battle as the third man in on the fight. Better corner for Morton, nursing a 2-car length advantage inside of 10 laps to go in the second to last race of this qualifier campaign.
And remember, guys, if these two go at it, they start battling. Not only is Conklin in it as another part of the strategy, Kenny Brady's still there. He's on the older set of tires in this field, but they have equalized 38.2s, 38.3s. Sometimes when you're not in the draft, these have fully leveled out to be together. So the old tire cars still have some life in them now that we've gone through most of this heat portion of the cycle. And while these two have the best cars right now, it only takes a few bumps, a few moves, and overall lost time in side drafting to bring maybe 3, 4, or 5 cars into a whole pack. But Warman has eyes dead set on catching Matthew Morton. The question is, what line does he use? He's been up on the higher side. He's been trying to get some of that clean air. He has a shot here off turn 4 to make that happen.
Yeah, he's had a lot of laps to think about it. The perfect way to get around. You wonder about Morton. Is he looking out the front windshield or in the rear view mirror? Is the spotter in his ear telling him about the moves that Warman is making? I love the back and forth, the duel of a battle like this, because Warman has to figure out a way around and what to do. Does he need help from behind, a little bit of a draft? We're getting a little bit too separated. Warman's may have to figure out how to do this on his own.
Well, we saw the strategy decision, Steven. We knew that with the first pit stop timing at about 48, 49 to go, that it likely meant these drivers could have pushed to the end. But I was surprised when only a third of the field came down. But clearly the tires have worked to allow Morton, Warman, and Conklin to get up inside of the top 3. What'd you make of that decision?
Yeah, it's a tough decision at that spot. We had, I'm actually texting my setup builder, Jarrett, right now about what we would have done in that situation. And he's spotting for Graham right now. And they were kind of in between on what to do. So I think I would have pit, just worst case scenario, you go 15 laps, get a yellow, and then you do another 15-lap run on those old set of tires. But I just don't think that would have been enough right now. I do think that pitting was the move. Obviously, we see the top 3 pit. I think Reynolds pit as well. He's moving. But, yeah, we had some really fast cars. Our NFR guys, I don't think any of us pit right now. We're like 6th to 10th right now. It's almost all of us. So, and then Frisch, too. He spun out, brought it down, took tires, and he's back up to 13th. So, it's just how these races can go sometimes, and obviously that's what you get when you have 2 tires or 2 tire sets laying on pit road. You got to decide when to take them, and that's part of it. So you see right now those guys are able to drive through the field. Now they can just take care of it and pretty much ride it home nice and easy.
5 laps to go. Quinton Morman still kind of sitting on the bumper. Is this a case where he's going to try to set this one up, or do you think he's been trying to set it up?
It's hard in this position. Yeah, there's a lot of grip here at Michigan, so it's hard to build that run, and you kind of got an air bubble once you get close to him that pushes that guy in front of you away. So he's got to move way up and hopefully get a run and cut it down and try to just run under him on the front stretch and cut that down. We got a yellow, so none of this matters. We'll see if these guys take tires here and see what happens.
Or option C, caution is out. It is Matt Busa involved in a battle for the number 24 spot between he and Christopher Pfeffer. So we are going to look towards the eNASCAR overtime once more. And man, Matthew Morton probably would have preferred for that to not be the case. And this changes everything. Well, Stephen, we appreciate your insights and your expertise. Again, congratulations on what was a great campaign for you last year. And best of luck when you go back on the title defense in about a month's time.
Yep, thank you guys. See you soon.
It's your driver and analyst for tonight, two-time championship series champion Stephen Wilson. By the way, guys, tied Kenneth fourth on the all-time wins list. And it may be the Stephen Wilson era. I feel like the drivers in this qualifying series are kind of looking at that as the expectation and the benchmark to beat, as we are pitting, or maybe pitting, with the pit cycle now happening on the bottom of your screen for top split. Split number 2 back underway up top. They've still got 16 laps to go.
And look at 3 wide. Noah Pitts on the outside, getting shuffled through the pack as they enter turn 1. And it's Dylan Basin, John Hall, the front 2 runners in the middle lane. Nichols is going to block. Exit turn 2. Down on the bottom is everyone else looking for a run down the back. Straight away, Tommy Gossett has the lead. Can he hold on for now? Nichols has the run entering turn 3.
It's got the advantage on the bottom of the racetrack, but here comes Cardenas in third. Holmes and Moore. Look at that. That's 4 wide for the number 6 position with Hot Basin, Pataska, and Bitts. So as Bitts falls through, Tommy Gossett leads the Hornet's Nest down into turns 1 and 2. That's Cardenas, the second car in line on the bottom, but it's Nichols again going to try to wind it up and use the runoff at turn number 2 to gain a slight advantage in the battle for the number 2nd spot. Long way to go, 15 laps still on the board, but they're racing like it's coming to the end. And again, Gossett using that early strategy, 28 spots gained, by far the biggest mover, and this is far from his first time up front.
Just all that experience carrying through the mid-runs and having the ability to use the dirty air to his advantage to continue to stay up at the front of this field. But again, it gets so sketchy when you've got all those cars around you in packs here in Michigan, the huge runs they can build with lines on the outside. As a leader, you're really never safe. So you have to stay put where you are and be very calm and composed. Bottom end, there's the replay. It was just, you saw that seam on the bottom end of the racetrack. Pfeffer just got a little bit high, caught up. You wash up the right front tire going up the exit of 4. You want to keep as much throttle in it. Gets into Matt Busa, and then those 2 cars go sliding on the front stretch.
It's that turn 4. We're going to see it in top split and here down in second split as well. As these laps go down, the drivers are going to get more and more not as friendly with each other, especially coming off turn 4 and what it can mean sliding up in front of the others as they battle for the lead. Tommy Gossett is able to maintain 2 car length lead right now. Everybody trying to chase him for this victory as Jake Nichols he has to find that other lane. We're seeing it in split 1, we're seeing it in split 2 here. You have to find some other way around the leader if you're going to make that pass.
Couple of points there. Busa, by the way, 33rd in points coming into this race, so that late spin hugely critical. I mean, battling in the 20s already not good enough, but that's going to cost him more spots. And for a guy who's got just about as much experience as anybody else, Matt Busa with a late spin in the second last race of the year, I'm not going to say it's a backbreaker, but that is really, really detrimental to his hopes. Nichols, of course, trying to fight for a win in split number 2. They get a caution flag now with 12 to go. And the spin is there into turn number 3. The 47 is the car around, so they will also have another late race restart. We'll check in on that once this concludes. It will be attempt number 1 at eNASCAR overtime in split number 1. As always, 2 laps from the drop of the green flag. If we get to the white flag, the race is official, and it is the first to the checkered flag that wins no matter what. If we get a yellow before that first lap is completed, we can try it again. Kenneth, a maximum of 3 attempts, and this is far from our first foray into eNASCAR overtime on the year.
And because a majority of the field sees 2 laps to go, they see a little bit of waste to the checkered flag, and because of that, the top 14 have stayed out. The lead car was Kenny Brady, who was on the old set of tires, and it was almost out of necessity, Evan, for those drivers to come in because they needed the fresh rubber, get a splash of fuel to potentially make what could be the 3 overtime attempts. But everyone up front made that gamble in track position. It pays off, and now Matthew Morton, who was holding up a defensive wall for a while, now has to be Defensive Player of the Year on Quentin Warman and the entire field behind him.
Could be for the final time tonight. Pace car down and in. Matthew Morton trying to hang on for race win number 1 of the season. Green flag in the air, but Quentin Warman lockstep with him in the run to turn number 1. The nose goes to the 67 on the outside, but as they get up to speed, can Morton stay in front, or is Warman going to carry the speed? They race off at turn 2.
What a restart by Quentin Warman, and a smart decision there by Conklin. Take the space up high, try to use that momentum with Blake Reynolds behind you to push forward and get Warman the lead and gain positions from there. Morton fights back on the inside. Conklin still there in third. We are still door to door for the lead. Warman nosing ahead. White flag from Michigan.
What's going to make the difference? Will it be help for Warman, or will it be Conklin trying to win this race on his own? Everybody's trying to get the checkered flag as Warman goes to the lead in turn 1.
Deep drive in. He's going to slide up as the leader. The advantage is 2 car lengths, but he's into the outside wall. Warman put it in the fence. 5 wide behind the leaders. Here comes Morton. Here comes Conklin. They'll beat and bang, but in a battle for second. Is that the gap that Warman needs? He's slower off of 4. Morton's got the run, but he's going to run out a racetrack, and Quentin Warman, a statement victory in Michigan for your championship leader.
Well earned. Went up there, took it off the restart from second position. Fun victory for him.
Guys, when did we talk about Quentin Warman and the top drivers in points not being a factor in this race? Things changed very quickly, and Quentin Warman becoming the 7th different winner of the season. And most importantly, guys, his first. It took him a long while to get to victory lane despite being one of the best drivers week in and week out. And now he's got it. And Blake Reynolds needed a night like this. 61 behind the top 30, and he finishes 3rd. What a run.
A lot of big nights. Quentin Warman leads only the final 3 laps at eNASCAR overtime. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. It is top split race win number 1 on the season for Quentin Warman. He entered the penultimate round tonight as your championship leader, and that gap is going to grow, where he'll be thinking about the big trophy in 1 week's time in Texas. Let's take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race. That right there, coming to the restart, Kenneth. The lap was led by Warman. It was his first lap led on the afternoon, and eventually we knew the top side was gonna be the line to be, but getting up to speed, wasn't sure if he was gonna get there, but him being able to hang with Morton, or I'll call it the first 3 quarters of this lap getting up to speed, is what he needed to do to then eventually be able to get the pass done, I think.
I mean, that was called perfect timing for Quentin Warman. When you match a restart like that, you already get the upper edge on the driver who has the lead and theoretically the control on the restart zone. And then Warman sees the help behind him, and that is such a relieving feeling. Conklin goes into that line, goes up high, pushes Warman ahead, and all that moment, just looking in the rearview mirror and playing defense while they fight for second, and Warman pulls away for the win.
We'll talk with your top finishers. We'll take a look at your full race results later, but now let's jump in to split number 2, because they've got to restart with 8 laps to go in Michigan. Tommy Gossett trying to hang on. We're already 3 wide in a battle for second with Cardenas, Nichols, and Holmes.
It was a sluggish restart from Jake Nichols. Got a bit to go. Dylan Basin wanting to swing up high, and that most likely will try to choke out the outside line for a little bit as they come off of turn 2. Now is where Cardenas is going to use that help to try and sling into turn 3 with a chance at the lead. But remember, still a long way in this race to go. 7 laps to go at the stripe, and now they're crashing already at the back of this field, and we will do it once more as the 45 Patrick Moose, one of those involved. And Carson Bowers, a rough night turned worse at the back.
This race just so much more wild than the top split one we saw. It feels like Tommy Gossett out there in the lead is just in such a safer position because everyone behind him, we keep talking about that hornet's nest, the mess that comes without having the clean air, without controlling the race. A safe position, especially in this split, to be well out front for him.
It's a trend we've seen a lot this year. I think last week in Chicago might have been one of the outliers, but for the most part, split number 2 has been wrapping up after split number 1, just because they've had more caution flags, and it has been what has been slowing things down. I believe we've got your split number 1 race winner standing by with Alan.
Winner. Quentin Warman joining us now. Quentin, it's one thing to be the point leader. It's another to call yourself a winner. How you feeling right now after that checkered flag, my friend?
I feel great. After my Q effort, I didn't really have a lot of hope of getting all the way to the front, but I mean, I gotta also give thanks to Matthew a little bit. We had a lot of teamwork in that race to get ourselves in that position. And I can't believe that ended how it did, because I almost thought I lost the race off too when I hit the wall. But I'm glad that the strategy to pit mid-race worked out. That was great.
Yeah, bring us through that, because that changed the race, that changed your track position. What was that like working with your team? And wondering, was that a gamble in your eyes that if it would work or not?
So I think it was a little bit of a gamble, but I'm not really sure, because there were so many people stayed out that I was like, this might be a little, gamble, but I knew that since me and Matthew had 4 tires and they were brand new, we could just roll bottom, and luckily we got enough green lap to get to the front. But I'm honestly more glad about that going green than winning, because if we had a caution like 20 laps into that, instead of that almost going to the end, we would have been in a really bad situation. So I'm really glad the strategy worked out. Just like Chicagoland, actually, because I was on the right side of the strategy too there.
Hey, there's a reason why you're the point leader. There's a reason why it looks like you're going to be back in the championship series. Give us an idea of what you're thinking for when and if that happens, and what you can bring from this effort to the championship series.
I'm looking to continue this momentum into the championship series. Last year when I was in the series, I had a kind of slow start to the year, and then towards the end of the year, I picked it up a little bit, but ended up just missing. I missed the top 20 by, I believe, 12 points, but I'm looking to continue this momentum into the championship series, and I'm hoping to maybe win a race there too. It'll be a lot more difficult, but I think we can do it. The cars have been really fast this year.
Well, the best way to do that is with checkered flags. Quentin Warman, you got one tonight. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Well, race win number 1 for him on the year, and as Kenneth, you mentioned, 7th different race winner we've seen over the top split this year, and he is the driver in control to be talking about a qualifying series championship in 1 week's time. But of course, if you're a fan of eNASCAR, you don't have to wait until next Tuesday before we've got more action for you, because another finale is due up first. It is week number 2 of the NASCAR College iRacing Series Sunset Splash at Homestead Miami Speedway. That is tomorrow night, coming up for the college drivers, 7 o'clock start. It'll be it'll be April 22nd is the correct date for that one. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Eastern, start right here on the iRacing Esports Network. The University of Calgary's Connor Urshak, the man in control for that one, looking to take home a championship, and I think about $16,000 or so on the line in scholarship dollars between the tournament prize money and the series prize money. So make sure you join us. Again, that's tomorrow night, Wednesday, April 22nd, from Homestead, Miami. That series also going to have a bit of an exhibition with the Sim Racing Expo in Charlotte coming up. Some more info on that. Stay tuned. But to the battle at hand, 4 laps to go. Tommy Gossett trying to hang on. Can Dylan Cardenas pull a restart that are shades of Quinton Warman? Or is the 88 going to be in control on the front row? Here we go. 4 laps to go in Michigan, and the outside does not get a good restart. Cardenas, all kinds of tire spin, and Nichols is easily through to second.
And that's the second consecutive restart with our orange Toyota. Dylan Basin is the second car trapped, with the outside car having a slow way to get through the gears. Once they come through 1 and 2, Cardenas will have the run off of turn number 2 to get around in the back straightaway, but will that be enough to challenge any one of those drivers at the front? 3 laps to go next time by. Nichols waits, Nichols fires, Nichols plants to the inside for the lead off turn 4.
Coming to 3 laps to go. A yellow from this point would also send this split to overtime. Nichols, dead heat with Gossett at the line. And behind them, it's Armstrong, Holmes, and Cardenas, making it a 5-way battle for the lead. Can Nichols clear on the bottom? He'll slide up in front. Yes, he does. What a slide for Nichols. Gossett right back to the inside. Caution behind. And the timing of the yellow, oh so important, because Nichols will be your leader as we go to overtime.
What a battle up front. I didn't want to see it end with this caution coming out, but we're going to get it again with the overtime finish set up. But what a great takeaway from Nichols to grab the lead just before it happened.
How about a change of emotions for Jake Nichols? He was on the outside of row number 1 a little while ago. It took him a while to get going, and he slowed up the outside lane, and all it takes is basically one switch of a placement on the restart where he is that second car on the inside lane. And when I tell you that's important, when you have to follow the leader and you can go when they go earlier than the driver on the outside of row 1 can, Nichols had that charge, and Nichols did it for the lead. What a pass.
So they have to hit the reset button and try again. There was a big moment on the restart with John Hall. That's the white and pink Nexus Ford Racing entry, the 03 machine. When we came to the restart, he took the green flag in about the number 7 spot. It's going to show P10, so it's going to show a loss of 3. But what that doesn't show you is he picked up 4 spots in the 1 and then lost 6. He was going the wrong way in the center of 3 and 4 wide, and it was a really sketchy moment. We'll bring Alan back in because we were talking earlier with Mario Miranda on Countdown to Green, and Alan, you've got him again. He's been watching.
Mario, you've been watching along with us. Give us your take on this Michigan race tonight. We know you're a competitor. What's it like from your eyes?
Oh, testing wasn't like this, I'll tell you that. Testing was a lot more calmer throughout this week. So it's been crazy, but Nexus was, we seem to hit the strategy right in top split. Quinton and Matthew have done great, and it's amazing seeing Jake, get a great restart here, and he's now leading right before that caution.
You are one of our College Series drivers. You're competing tomorrow in the Sunset Splash, still trying to chase that championship down, but we will likely hope to see you in our championship series here in the Coke Series starting in about a month. You represent the University of Oklahoma. What has that meant to you in your career to rep your school at a level like this in iRacing?
Well, there's an Oklahoma saying, there's only one, so it's cool representing a school like this, and it would be so much cooler having a school like this in the Coke Series. I've had members throughout OU, both in the business school, athletics, all saying, their pledge of support when drafted, and I'm really looking forward to that. It'd be so cool to kind of have that traditional pipeline of, high school and then college and then into the professional series. So OU's got a strong DNA and collegiate athletics of having athletes go into the pros, whether that's basketball or football or softball now or volleyball with their pro leagues. So hoping to continue that trend now through esports. That would be really cool.
The championship series will be a big jump, but you've got some experience racing against some of the best in the College Series, the Euroshacks of the world, Steven Wilson and others. How do you think that will prepare you when you make this big jump?
It's really nice. It's always a big discussion throughout any esport if pros should be allowed. I know in Rocket League it's a big discussion of if pros should be competing in collegiates, and I'm glad eNASCAR allows that, because it allows the college kids to really show how they stack up, and it's really cool having people like Steven Wilson, Parker White, Connor Urashak in your races, and you can go against them. And last year in that championship race where solidified my spot in the draft, I had paced similar to Wilson near those long runs. First 10 laps, he's definitely got it. He's definitely so talented. But it was really cool to see that lap 20, lap 30 on those tires, I'm starting to run down Logan Clampett, starting to run down Steven Wilson, really picking up the pace. So hoping I can continue that in the Coke Series and really see where I can place myself.
Mario, we appreciate it. Good luck tomorrow night. We're going to go enjoy the rest of this. You join us and enjoy the rest of it with us. Appreciate it. Evan?
Will do. Thank you.
Well, just like we saw in split number 1, split 2 is getting set for eNASCAR overtime. The top split drivers got it done with a one and done. We'll see if the grittier split number 2 is able to do the same thing here. It was a change for the lead on the most recent short run. That means that Jake Nichols is now the control car. That teal 73 down on the inside of the front row. Gossett to the outside. Then you've got Armstrong and Cardenas behind. Green flag flies. 2 to go, and it's a quick clear for Jake Nichols into 1.
Great restart by Nichols to set ahead. Tommy Gossett wants to move, and it's a door shut by Nichols as they head into turn 1. Tommy Gossett wanted the run on the inside, but he couldn't get it. Now they're going to be 3 abreast. Joe Armstrong is in the middle. Cardenas on the high side. Timothy Holmes needing points to stay above the top 30 is going to be there, and he turns Armstrong. Entry turn 3. Big time crash in the corner, and we're going to do it all over again. Joe Armstrong involved in the latest spill.
And Joe Armstrong is somehow, with a miraculous save, a top 10 driver in points, is going to somehow drive away with minimal damage. And instead, it's Jeremy Davis, Maverick Davis, Jordan Worth, and Joseph Galata who get the worst end of that stick after it started as a touch, and all right, we get away with it once, but 2, 3, 4 touches eventually led to a spin. We'll get a second look at that one in a bit after the battle for third boiled over. In the meantime, let's keep catching up with some of your top finishers. It was a P2 KB in split number 1 for Matthew Morton. You've got him.
Joined by Matthew Morton right now. And Matthew, you, Warman, a bulk of the field at the front, decided tires and fuel was the go-to call. Early in the race, it panned out. You guys gained the track position. What was the conversation with your team going into that call, and how that all paid off at the end?
Oh, I don't know really. I mean, we were all split together, racing together. I know Seb was saying if they all stay out, I'm going to stay out, and I didn't think half the field was going to stay out. I was pretty certain that we were going to come in, take tires, and once I knew that everybody was staying out behind us, that we just audibled to 4 tires, and that really just was able to help us there. We luckily got a longer run there, and we were able to just run the bottom and get the lead there, thankfully. And yeah, it was great working together with Quentin and just having his help tonight. Super happy for him to win.
So Matthew, you've got a chance to solidify your place in the championship series through free agency over the next few weeks on a good spot in the top 10. But you're also running in the eNASCAR College iRacing Series. We've got that finale tomorrow, Sunset Splash, Homestead of Miami, repping the OHIO for you at Ohio State University. So what's the mindset there going into Homestead and trying to close off the championship there?
It's just going to be trying to continue what we did last week. We had a good group, and we were able to just lead every lap and keep it clean and make it to this week. So really, I mean, we're in a decent point spot to climb up some positions in the standings. Just going to go for P2 in the standings, try and win again like we did last week, and hopefully we can earn some extra cash.
Looking for the scholarship money and looking for a shot in the championship series later on this year. Matthew, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on the P2. We'll see you at the field at Texas next week.
Thank you guys. Go Bucks.
Evan?
Appreciate the time from both Matthew and, of course, race that we talked with a little bit ago, Quincy DeMorman. Those two guys, your top finishers in split number one. Both of them with a lot to race on the line. College implications when they take to the track tomorrow, but both of them will be within a mathematical chance to be talking about being championship qualifying series title winners when we do this again in 1 week's time. We'll take this chance under the yellow to remind you that NASCAR 25 is now available on Steam, PlayStation, and Xbox. It includes detailed driver ratings for more than 200 NASCAR drivers as you can compete on a career mode campaign that spans through the ARCA series all the way up to the highs of the NASCAR Cup Series. And for a product that comes from iRacing Studios, it gets exactly what you would expect. Laser scans for more than 30-plus NASCAR tracks, 40-player online multiplayer, and more. Again, that's available now for Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. Well, we were not able to get this race done in attempt number one at overtime, so these drivers have at least one more restart to go through before they can start looking forward to the Sim Racing Expo 150 next week, the season finale for this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. It'll take place on the high banks of what will be the championship finale at Texas Motor Speedway. Nichols, Gossett, Cardenas, Basin. I mean, the wreck happened behind them pretty quick. It did not change the running order much. But we did see a great start from Nichols, and Gossett quickly got in line and took a huge dive down to the inside. Nichols was ready for it, put a block on, so if you're that number 73 machine, I think you have to expect more of the same, and if you can replicate the good jump he got in the last restart, that would be ideal. Here we go for attempt number 2 at eNASCAR overtime in split 2. Green flag flies. It's another good jump for Nichols. Battle's going to be on for second. Cardenas and Gossett.
Remember, we talk about drafting and how that's important here in Michigan. Off of the restarts, you don't want to be Nichols and too far ahead, because if the drivers gain so much ground in pack racing behind you, could spell trouble later on. But right now, it seems to be the winning play. John Hall's in the wall. Couple of drivers hit the wall, slamming off each other. Still 3 and 4 wide as they enter back to turn 3. But everyone keeps it clean and green for now. Cardenas wants to run. He gets within 2 car lengths of Nichols, and the yellow comes out. We'll do it again. Nate Stewart among those involved.
Seminario, the other driver who goes all the way around the 4, and Nate Stewart involved. Patrick Moose also gets a piece of it in the number 45 machine, and split number 2, like a good playoff hockey series, is going to go the distance. 3 attempts at eNASCAR overtime might as well be a Game 7, because they are not done yet, and they continue to be at each other's throats. Not in the battle for the lead. In fact, in that case, Jake Nichols had an even better restart than the previous one. He got the advantage, but the battle for second is what was really helping him there. Dylan Cardenas, all of a sudden, guys, is going to be up in the number 2 spot after passing Gossett there.
Yeah, it was a great restart from all those drivers. And, you know, a tough break for Nate Stewart as well, a driver who since Auto Club has had a top 10 in every single race, top 10, including the drop, average finish of 5th throughout his journey in second split. It's been great to watch, but Jake Nichols, Alan, what a drive he's been putting on so far. And it's all about being calm on the restarts. He has been very much that and more in these final few.
Calm but aggressive and winning these restarts. It's just a matter of who is going to catch them and if they'll have help. Much of this race, you can almost work together. You can bump, draft, what have you, and try to make that pass. But everyone's out for themselves. With only 2 laps to go, 1 restart to do it, it's going to be hard to get that help from behind. Nichols just has to execute one more time. Can he do it once again?
Well, we're not, I guess I should say we are used, guys, to seeing split number 2 go a little bit further than split number 1. Kenneth, I don't know if it's necessarily the drivers in split number 2 here, though, are driving that much more aggressively, or the fact that, listen, we had a couple of those close calls in split number 1. We got away with it. It turned into a bit of a strategy game with the fuel stops, whereas in this race, I think the yellows have just timed out that everybody's pretty much always been on equal tires with each other, and they just can't get away on these restarts.
Yeah, that pushes you over the edge as a driver, because when you see those yellows come out, you're like, all right, another restart, another restart, another restart. And when you see that trend develop as a driver, then you start to be like, well, if I don't make a move now, I'm never going to get the chance. This race is going to end in overtime, maybe under yellow, and I won't have a position more to my name than I would have had if I were more aggressive on the run. So you'll see a lot of that byproduct, our drivers becoming naturally more aggressive. And remember the points, guys. I mean, as the field has shortened out through the length of this season, top split, you know, when you go down there, can be equal or maybe less points than high splits and high finishes in second split. So, Alan, I'd see there's a point for drivers to be aggressive. Those points really matter.
You have to be, and especially when we're seeing the execution of Jake Nichols on this restart. What happened in top split? Warman was not the leader, but he executed on a late restart and was able to stick with it on the backstretch and pull off a victory. Someone has to do that. They haven't yet in these first two restarts. Jake Nichols has looked like he was going to sail on to victory. No more cautions after this. No more attempts. If Nichols can do it, he gets the checkered flag. If not, if someone else can finally execute, it will be a fun battle to watch.
I'm really curious, though, guys, to see what Dylan Cardenas does there. We saw entering turn 3, he had a really good run. I mean, he was just a half lane, full lane higher than Jake Nichols entering the corner, but he was carrying great rotation, great speed off of there. I wouldn't be surprised if Cardenas has maybe one more trick up his sleeve to try and fight Nichols for the win here. Just needs to have a good restart on the outside lane. Please do not stack it up and make it 3 wide. Have a chance at the front. Have a chance at the win.
That's the part I love about this, the cat and mouse aspect of it, because you are calculating where you can make that move. You can't do the same thing the leader's doing. You can't have their lane. You have to come up with a different lane, a different run, and this is what's been happening the last few restarts. Some studying going on, some wondering, some note-taking, if you will, about what Jake Nichols might do and what Dylan Cardenas can do to get by him.
Cardenas has been chipping away, 4th for a restart, 3rd for a restart, now 2nd. Is he going to be able to get it done from the front row? And this is really the first overtime restart that is materially different, because on all the other ones, I know it's a short sprint, but you're playing the 2-lap game, right? If the race is going to end, you're going 2 laps. At this point, you're not playing the 2-lap game, because if we do not get to the white flag and a yellow flag comes out before that, whoever is in front at that moment in time is your race winner. So you cannot wind it up, try to set somebody up. You got to have a nose in front, because if they can't keep it together for 2 miles, this thing could be done in the blink of an eye. Final try for an overtime finish in Michigan. It's another good start for Nichols. Give him a car length and change down to turn 1.
And that's what you need, Evan. When you go off of turn 2, you need 2nd and 3rd, the rest of the field to be fighting side by side. As long as they side draft each other down the straightaway, that's more time that you can gain. Cardenas is going to have the run down the back straightaway. He clears Gossett, importantly. Now eyes forward on the leader in turn 3.
Side by side at a battle for 3rd. Gossett, Holmes, they exchange for 3rd. Here comes the crossover, though. Cardenas with a much better run off at turn 4, looking for the white flag. This race will go the full distance. It's a car length. Nichols trying to be defensive. He'll put that car about a lane and a half off of the bottom. Cardenas down to the yellow line.
Is that going to be enough? Cardenas has a run, but he doesn't have help from Timothy Holmes or anyone else behind him, so he needs a send in turn 3 for the final time.
Lost ground that time. Nichols pulling away. One final set of corners. Cardenas got in position, but just doesn't have enough in the final lap. Jake Nichols, your split 2 Michigan winner.
Well executed, well earned for Jake Nichols, surviving all of those overtime restarts and, frankly, just driving away and outperforming the rest of the field.
I looked a little closer. I found the clutch gene in Jake Nichols tonight. That was a great finish. And to not only do it once to take the lead, but to then do it 2 to 3 more times under heavy pressure from other contenders in this race. A great defensive drive from Nichols, and he gets the win.
It was Gossett a lot every time he checked in from the second half on, but Jake Nichols will go on to lead 25 laps total, and for the driver who started inside of the top 5, gets his way back up there and is able to lock it down in the end. This winning moment brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. And for Jake Nichols, a race win in split number 2 that is likely going to put him in the top 10 in points conversation with just 1 week left to go on the year. It's a good look at the Aftermark coffee machine as he burns it down on the front stretch. Will likely make his way over to victory lane in a minute. Let's start talking results. First, we'll look at your full race results. It is split number 2. So Nichols' final margin of victory, just 0.2 of a second over Dylan DeCardenas, who comes home in second. Timothy Holmes ends up getting Gossett late in the battle for third and fourth position. And then Jonathan Evans rounds out your top 5. Dylan Basin led a lap earlier. He's in P6 ahead of Daniel Naney in 7th. Sean Anderson, Jaden Hopp, and John Hall, your top 10.
And then back in 11th, Cade McClenny, who was leading at one point in the race very early on, feels like eons ago. Joe Armstrong battling for the lead as well. And then got turned around by Timothy Holmes on the backstretch in one of those overtime attempts. Blake Neer, Noah Bitts, and Justin Levine, the top 15. Dallas Pataska back there, and all of those drivers in the top 20 just scrapping for positions in those overtime attempts.
Yeah, tough end for Patrick Moose, who started from pole. He comes home in the number 20 spot in that one for split number 2. We'll jump over now and look at your results for split number 1. Of course, it was the first race win of the season in the top split for Mr. Quinton Warman, who leads the way atop of Matthew Morton in the number 2 spot. Again, those are 2 top 5 guys in points that are going to be in the conversation for the championship next week. Blake Reynolds is 3rd, Sean Conklin 4th, and then Daniel Falkenham needed some positive momentum. He gets it with a top 5 finish in this one. Jacob Wilkerson is 6th, Michael P. Frisch is 7th, with Graham Bolin at 8th, Tyler Gary in 9th, and how about a top 10 for Peyton Howell?
Great finish for him, and a great finish for Blake McCandless, back in 11th place. Michael Cozy Jr. behind him in 12th place. Seth Noel 13th. Wyatt Tinsley 14th. Thomas Lloyd in the top 15. Cody Bias, Garrett Lowe, Adam Garza, Sebastian Marin. Deep start and a deep placement for Marin. We didn't expect to see that, but he's in top 10 in points. Kenny Brady there in the top 20.
Kwame Scott ends up in the number 21 position. Another one of your previous race winners on the year with Brad Beccario in 22nd. Justin Smith, Amja Navarro, and Octavio Rondoletto. Through your top 25, you see Busa, Kerner, Boyd, Champagne, and Avila. Your top 30, Alfala, Pfeffer, Campbell, and Maines. That's a big drop-off for Garrett Maines. Talked about his positioning in the points. P4 coming into tonight. That is going to drop. Well, let's talk to your split number 2 race winner. It's Jake Nichols at Michigan Victory Lane, and Allen's got him.
Yeah, you can see the smile on his face, maybe the adrenaline coming down a little bit. Jake, what did it take? Multiple restarts toward the end in overtime. You executed flawlessly on all of them. What prepared you for that situation?
A lot of experience. It was nerve-wracking, especially being 2nd or 3rd place on restarts and thinking, like, what can I do to get to the lead? And we made a really crazy move into turn 3 on Tommy, and he raced us clean and fair down the whole front. And thankfully, I cleared him right before a yellow came out. And at that point, it was just trying to play the game of the restart zone, when to go. You know, you want to go early, but sometimes you want to play a different game and try to just catch them slipping. And thankfully, it worked out. And our aftermarket coffee Ford Mustang looked amazing out there. And I can't thank everyone at Nexus Esports enough. This car was a dream to drive, especially on those restarts late. It just had so much fire off speed. It's just, I could put it anywhere I wanted, and we'd have grip, and I felt like we had more grip than everyone else, and thankfully it worked out, and we got another win.
Yeah, great looking race car. When you are in that position being pursued, are you looking out the front windshield? Are you thinking back from the rearview mirror? What's it like as a driver being the one being chased down?
Oh, it's tough. I know one of those restarts, I was definitely mirror driving a lot through 1 and 2, and I got really loose because of it. I kind of crossed the seams a little early because I was just trying to put dirty air on 2nd place, and it's definitely a good balance of trying to do, you know, the super speedway deal where you're really looking in the mirror, trying to just judge where they are and put some dirty air on them, but also you still got to drive your car at the same point. So it was really a fun balance. At the last restart there, I felt so confident. I just looked forward, didn't even look in the mirror much. I just kind of swerved down the straight to make sure 2nd place didn't get much draft, and at that point just set sail and bring it home.
Hey, you've got one more week to go, and this was a great night to put yourself in position for a championship series spot. One more week to keep the momentum up. Good luck to you, Jake. Congrats tonight.
Thank you.
All right, that's your winner. Split 2. Exciting finish. Overtime. Jake Nichols.
And then there was one, because next week at Texas Motor Speedway, the Sim Racing Expo 150 will not only crown the champion of the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series, but it will officially dictate the 30 drivers that are headed to free agency. So, Kenneth and Alan, I want both of your thoughts on this one. KB, I'll go first to you as we are down to the final round.
I mean, what a season we've had so far to go through the gauntlet of the triple stints with all of the cars and vehicles, and now to end it here at Texas Motor Speedway. Back in the qualifying series a few years ago when we had the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series cars here at Texas, it brought us a stunner of a finish, and it came down to a photo finish at the line for the last driver who was in on points. I wouldn't be surprised, Alan, if we saw it again here at this track that has become conducive to multi-groove racing, and with the intermediates we've seen this season so far, I wouldn't be surprised if this one also turned out to be a banger to end the campaign.
I don't need to see the point standings because I just know there is so much talent near the bubble, above the line, just below it, and the competition's going to be so heavy. Split 1, split 2, on a unique mile and a half, not exactly cookie cutter at Texas, so it's going to take some skill, strategy, maybe even some luck, but the field will be set for free agency, the championship series, in just 1 week. Perfect track to do it at.
Texas has hosted a lot of big moments in the world of eNASCAR, pro invitational races, big races with titles, decisions on the line in the championship series. In 1 week's time, it will determine our qualifying series champion. You're not going to want to miss it. But until then, that's it for us here tonight from Michigan. On behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, and your broadcast team tonight, for our driver analyst, Stephen Wilson, for James Pike, Ryan Vargas, Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to say thanks for tuning in, and we will see you in 7 days' time where we crown a champion. It's coming at you Tuesday, April 28th at iRacing's virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That race and every race on the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network and streaming live on eNASCAR.com. Until then, good night from Michigan, and congratulations to your top split winner, Quentin Warman. We'll see you next week for the Sim Racing Expo 150.